Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Daytona International Speedway, where this time around, it is qualifying for the WRLA Xfinity Series. We're going to be figuring out the 6 drivers that will make up the 40-car field and then set the starting lineup for the Drive4COPD 300 tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, I'm Elijah Leonard here to bring you this fine action from here at Daytona. Earlier today, we had the Menards Truck Series out on the racetrack. The starting field is set and they're ready to go for tomorrow. We got a double header tomorrow, of course, for those that may not have, for those that probably may not have seen the Menards Truck Series coverage of qualifying. We got Truck Series racing here at Daytona starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then at 8 p.m., we have the WRLA Xfinity Series that will be hitting the racetrack in a double header. The reason it's going to be a double header is because we have the duels coming up tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch those over on Twitch. But also, the Daytona 500 is going to be on Saturday as well. Once we get the field set up and the starting lineup finalized, we should be 100% good to go for racing in the 2026 WRLA season. First car out on the racetrack. This is the number 71, one of the NOS Energy Cup Series drivers we'll be seeing later tonight. This is Roberto Crown Jr. driving the number 71. This is his second season in WRLA competition. Owns Powerhouse Crown Racing up in the Cup Series. And also won a NOS Energy Cup race last year at Michigan. Caution came out with 2 laps to go. That enabled Crown to basically lock up the victory over Jerry Rose, who would eventually go on to win at Pocono at the tail end of the 2024 season. But by that time, the champion was already crowned and points were already finalized. So there really wasn't too much else to really do there points wise. But Crown and also the number 74, I want to say that would be also Brock Nelson. And indeed it is. We saw Nelson earlier today in Truck Series qualifying. Now here he is in Xfinity Series qualifying. He's part-time in both divisions, and so far these two are drafting with one another. And so far, I mean, Brock Nelson has been honestly doing very, very well in qualifying. I mean, especially to start this session off with a 47.015. Earlier today, he topped the board and was able to secure a spot into tomorrow's truck race. So if he doesn't make the Xfinity race for tomorrow, at least he does have the truck race to fall back on. To the top of the board goes the number 91. That would be Haley Tullis. There she is right there, a 46.688, drafting with the 70 of Ryan Davis. And also the number 35, that would be Bryce Egan. Egan competing full-time in the Menards Truck Series, and also will be attempting some WRLA Xfinity Series races on top of that as well. So far, sitting in the 3rd spot with a 46.946 for the number 35 team. This is being owned by Zachary Taylor Motorsports. And something to point out about Taylor Motorsports is that they're going to be the only team in the Xfinity Series that's going to have 2 different manufacturers in the same team. This number 35, which is being piloted by Egan, is a Ford, and then the full-time car is going to be a Chevrolet that's going to be piloted by Justin Ingleham. We'll see him a little bit later on today as well. Ryan Davis to the top of the board with a 46.397. And as they come through turn 4, let's see if they're going to be able to top that. heading across the stripe. And doesn't look like that time is going to get any better because of the 35 and the 91 being side by side. We saw Tullis and Egan. I mean, we already talked about Egan not too long ago, but Haley Tullis is another driver that we saw not too long ago in Truck Series qualifying. And now here we are, we're seeing her in Xfinity qualifying, but this time she is going to be attempting to try to get into the race. And just as a reminder, it is the top 6 drivers that move on into the 40-car field. There are 34 full-time Xfinity cars, and we have 13 part-time cars. We could add one more to the pile, if you will, but still got to figure that out. But as for right now, we just have 13. Here's the number 99. Car number 99. I'll say this is going to be a one-off here, but this is Bruno Giacomo in the number 99 machine. Going to be competing in a one-off here at Daytona for the Xfinity side, and then we'll have to figure out another driver for the number 99 because he's technically in all 3 series. But just for this one, we'll do a little one-off here for Bruno Giacomo in the Xfinity series. So far, Giacomo, well, now finds himself inside of the top 6, 46,800. For the number 99, he does compete full-time in the Truck Series, but he'll also be running a limited schedule in the Cup Series as well for Appalachia Motorsports. It runs full-time in trucks for CR7. He has won a NOS Energy Cup race we talked about not too long ago, you know, when he won at Watkins Glen over Russell Blaze. But now he's drafting with these other 3 cars. Number 36. This is Val Mosco, who we'll also see later on tonight in the duels. Who also drives for Powerhouse Crown Racing as well. Also drafting, well, was now drafting with the number 43. That was Sam at Oskin. So Oskin's coming on down to pit road. Well, I know that's actually Moscow, but Oskin's still out on the racetrack right now. It is on the outside looking in just by 9/1000ths of a second over Roberto Crown Jr., who is on the bubble of missing out on the show. Oskin is another driver who I believe will probably just do a one-off here, just specifically for here at Daytona, because he is full-time in trucks and also has a cup ride as well, for you know, just on a part-time basis. Here's the number 5. That is Bobby McGuire in the number 5 machine, running full-time in the NOS Energy Cup Series, and alongside his girlfriend Janiyah Hill, who wound up winning McGuire Motorsports their first win, not just as a team, but it was Janiyah's first official points win. First career victory for Janiyah Hill, to be more specific, excuse me. But for Bobby McGuire, he has come close a few times throughout the 2025 season. This is when McGuire Motorsports was attempting every single race. But now here they are, 2026. They're full-time in the Cup Series, so they're going to be able to go for all the marbles that they can get throughout this year. And as far as Xfinity Series competition goes, they can use races like this sort of as, you know, just the race that they can just take notes and get ready for, you know, all, you know, future upcoming NOS Energy Cup races and vice versa. That's what some of these Cup drivers would use some of these lower division races for, such as Abby Walker in the number 26. Walker's another driver that we'll be seeing in the duels later on tonight for the NOS Energy Cup Series. And down to her inside is the 07. We saw her not too long ago, that being Shauna Martin, piloting the 07. She's also competing full-time in the Truck Series, while also running a limited schedule here in the Xfinity Series. I almost said Cup. But right now, Shauna Martin is 10th on the board with a 46.973. Abby Walker not faring any better with a 47.049. And as of right now, the top 6 coming up on 5 minutes to go. That would be the 35 of Bryce Egan, the number 70 of Ryan Davis, the 99 of Bruno Giacomo, who, again, is going to be competing in a one-off for the Xfinity Series. Haley Tullis, the number 66, who's actually in this pack. That's actually Stephen Walker in the number 66. We'll see him later on in the duels tonight, driving for Death Rider Racing, that being Russell Blaze's team. In the Cup side, he's 4th now. Tullis still inside of the top 5, and Val Mosco currently holding onto the bubble spot with that 46.605, and right around the outside, that is the number 38. He drives for Durrani Racing in the Cup Series, but here in the Xfinity Series, he drives for Nathan Stapleton. This is Quentin Moore in the number 38. And he just swooped in and snagged that final transfer spot away from Val Mosco, thanks to the help of Bruno Giacomo. We'll be seeing Quentin Moore later tonight in the duels. He is running full-time in the Cup Series. He will be locked in regardless for that reason. But it is going to be pretty interesting to see if Quentin Moore is going to be able to make the Xfinity race, because if that happens, I mean, so far, as of right now, we have 1, 2, 3 Cup drivers that would wound up making the Xfinity Series race, that being Ryan Davis, Stephen Walker, and Quentin Moore. As of right now, there's still 3 minutes to go here in this session. Coming up on 3 minutes to go. But think if there's at least 3 of these drivers, at least 3 drivers would have the opportunity to use races like this. I mean, there's a few, I think there's at least 3. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. My brain is absolutely lagging. But I believe there are at least 3 other Cup drivers that are running in the truck race for tomorrow. So it's probably going to be the same case here on the Cup side with 3 drivers from the Cup Series that would be here in this Xfinity race for tomorrow. And some of these drivers will they're definitely going to be using those races sort of as, just preparation races, just kind of take notes on, all right, what could I do differently? What could I do when this line is moving? Where could I be when this line is moving? Vice versa. Or at least try to make sure you can log laps and get some more laps on the racetrack under your belt, so you can have some form of an advantage, if you will, when it comes to track awareness and maybe any other sort of area that you need to improve in. That's what some of these Cup drivers would use these races for, permitting if they do time their way in. And so far, I'd say we'd have now 4 Cup drivers that would get in. Stephen Walker, top of the board with a 45.984. Ryan Davis still in second with that 46.010. And then Quentin Moore with that 46.042. And Bruno Giacomo with a 46.067. Closing in on 1 minute to go here in this knockout qualifying session for the Xfinity Series. Roberto Crown Jr., Brock Nelson, both of those drivers still working together. They have not left one another since the beginning of this session, and same can be said for Mosco and Tullis. Neither one of these drivers, neither group has really abandoned each other this entire qualifying session. And I believe I might be eating my words here. Actually, nope. Okay. I almost was about to eat my words, because I thought Mosco was going to take the trip to pit road and aboard, drafting with the number 91 of Tullis. But so far, that really hasn't been the case. Tolis right now on the outside, well, really on the bubble spot, just by 4/10 over Roberto Crown Jr. Abby Walker, Bobby McGuire, neither one of those drivers look like they're going to make the show. I mean, obviously, it's quite clear as day that they're not going to make the show because they've been running out on the racetrack all by their lonesome. At least Bobby McGuire has. Abby Walker was drafting with Shauna Martin before she aborted and came to pit road. But with 40 additional seconds left on the clock, definitely there's no other way I see McGuire or even Abby Walker or even any other driver that's below the top 6 cutoff. I don't see any other way that they would be able to make it in. 15 seconds to go before times are final. And ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we're going to have ourselves 4 Cup drivers that will get on in to the Xfinity race and 2 Truck Series regulars. That would be Stephen Walker, Ryan Davis, Bryce Egan, Quentin Moore, Bruno Giacomo in a one-off here at Daytona, and Haley Tolis. Those 6 drivers will make up the 40-car roster for the Drive4COPD 300. However, as for Roberto Crown Jr., Brock Nelson, Val Mosco, Samet Oskin, and then you add on top of that Shauna Martin, Abby Walker, and Bobby McGuire. Those drivers, unfortunately, will not be able, will not make this race here at Daytona. They will have to sit this one out and get ready for Minnesota Motorsports Park next Friday. But in the meantime, congratulations to Stephen Walker, Ryan Davis, Bryce Egan, Quentin Moore, Bruno Giacomo, and Haley Tolis for making the 40-car field for the opening race of the Xfinity Series. With that said, we're going to take a quick little break and be right back with you for Xfinity Series qualifying from here at Daytona. And we're back from here at the Daytona International Speedway. This time it is for single round qualifying to set the starting lineup for the Drive4COPD 300. And honestly, I'm just very much so looking forward to this one. We had Truck Series qualifying earlier today, and now we're getting ready for Xfinity Series qualifying. First car out on the racetrack, that is Quentin Moore in the number 38, Ryan Kendall in the 00, who won the 2022 edition of the Indianapolis 100. That was back when we were still running that race back in the day, that special event. But now he's driving the 00 for Vision Motorsports. Back in WRLA competition for the first time, I want to say since 2017. Right now, riding on the racetrack all by his lonesome, at least for the time being. Here's the number 3. He was also a part of WRLA Xfinity Series competition back in 2017. This is Austin Kane, now driving the number 3 for Richard Childress Racing. All riding by his lonesome here, and so far those are really the only 3 cars that are on the racetrack and have just started their times. Car number 32, this is Erica Douglas. We haven't seen Douglas in WRLA competition since 2017, actually. So there's a lot of drivers that we haven't seen in a long time that are just now starting to kind of brush off the dust and get ready to get back out there for WRLA competition. And honestly, I'm here for it. I'm honestly here for it. So the first 3 cars, that being Nick Martin in the 78, Josiah Munsell in the 48, now the 88 of Ajax Fitzgerald. There's going to be several cars that had their pit box behind the start finish line. So there are some drivers that will have those 1 minute lap times. So those are unofficial until they come back around at full speed. Ryan Kendall to start things off, 47,373, top of the charts. to begin our qualifying sessions. Not anymore, because the single car Durrani Racing entry for the Xfinity Series, that being the 25 of Sebastian Kukalong, is at the top of the board with a 46.061. And that's going to change here quickly, because Kenny Stremme is at the top of the board, 45.972. Man, there's a lot going on here to kick things off. We haven't seen Sebastian Kukalon since 2020 when he drove for Nathan Orman's team. Drove the #1 GameStop Chevrolet, and Kukalon actually held his own, I'd say, for the most part in WRLA competition back in 2020, especially in the Cup side. But now here we are in the Xfinity Series, and he's driving the number 25 for Durrani Racing. Just behind him is the number 20. Walker Family Motorsports has their team in the Xfinity Series, and one of their drivers is the number 20, is actually Ray Atikian. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore, but Ray Atikian driving in the number 20 for Walker Family Motorsports. He is full-time here, and he's also running on a limited schedule for Trinity River Racing in the NOS Energy Cup Series. We will see Atikian in the duels later tonight. But right now, he is 4th on the board. Now 2nd with a 45.498. Kukalon to the top of the charts once again with a 45.468. And the number 4 machine for Alpha Prime Racing, that is Thomas Jericho, who is inside of the top 5, but that might quickly change here. He dropped from 3rd to 5th with that 45.561. But the competition here in the Xfinity Series, I have a very, very good feeling that we're gonna have ourselves a great year this year, you know, with the Truck Series and even the Xfinity Series, as well as the Cup Series. After a very successful 2025 season, I have a really good feeling that 2026 is going to be just as remarkable. So big props to, you know, everybody that came on in and that signed up for this stuff. I mean, even if there really wasn't a lot of people that came in, I'm still incredibly grateful for just the overwhelming support that we got throughout 2025 and what we're getting here for 2026. It does mean an absolute, you know, it does mean so much to me. And again, I appreciate everybody for being here. 9.5 minutes to go here in this session. This train being led by Sarah Taylor in the number 24. We saw her earlier today in Menards Truck Series qualifying. She wound up making that race, but is running full time here in the WRLA Xfinity Series. So far here in this session, she is 28th with a 45.993. But now that she's being picked up by this pack here, chances are she's going to skyrocket, maybe potentially inside of the top 10. This pack now being led by the 51. We haven't seen him in a long time. This is Carter Belair, driving the Jeremy Clements entry. As you see Nick Martin in the number 78 abort and come to pit road. Belair snagging a draft off of Bryce Egan, and that will move him to 9th with a 45.513. There's John Boyd in the number 41, also driving for Vision Motorsports. Just got knocked out of the top 10. Unless if I'm actually seeing things, he might have gotten kicked out of the top 10. Either that or he might not have been there at all. No, he is not. He wasn't even there at all. A 46.637 for John Boyd. But now that he's being picked up here by Carter Belair, Sarah Taylor, and Bryce Egan, I would highly suspect that the time here on this number 41 will, for the most part, improve. But Belair has other plans as he ducks low on the number 41 of John Boyd. Just up ahead, here's the number 19 also driving for Walker Family Motorsports. We saw him earlier today in Menards Truck Series qualifying. Unfortunately, didn't make the truck race, but here he is in Xfinity running on a full-time basis. This is Derek Hamill in the number 19. Wyatt Walker was really adamant in wanting Derek Hamill on his team because, of course, Hamill had been racing in WRLA competition since 2020. That's when it comes to the Cup side, because Derek Hamill was a part of the NOS Energy Cup Series for a couple of years. We didn't see him in 2025, but now here he is this year, running in the Xfinity Series for Wyatt Walker's team, and right now running all by himself, at least for the moment. Currently finds himself in the 32nd position with a 45.867. So not faring too well qualifying wise, but here at Daytona, doesn't really matter where you start. It's just always the matter of where you finish is what determines how your season is going to really start off. If you're going to be, standing on the ground, or if you're going to be in a hole, that if you will. So here's the number 21 driving for Richard Childress Racing. This is, and I'm probably going to butcher the name, so I do apologize in advance here. Celeste Alias? Celeste Alias? I do apologize for butchering the name. But Celeste in the number 21. Driving for Richard Childress Racing. Just came back out onto the racetrack, and right now Celeste finds himself 25th with a 45.766. It's sort of in a similar position. Here's Noah Cars in the number 92. We have seen Cars in Xfinity Series competition back in 2017. He even ran, I think, a couple of NOS Energy Cup races in that same year. This is shortly after he wound up getting his first career win at Michigan in a thrilling final few laps in that event. And it's great to see Noah Cars back in Xfinity Series competition, driving the number 92 here for DGM Racing. If I'm reading, yeah, it's for JIM, but really it's also for DGR as well. DGM, I can't even remember the team, so I do apologize. But he is driving the 92 regardless, and it's great to see that Noah Cars is back in Xfinity Series competition full time, I might add. Here's one of the Death Rider racing cars. This is Ajax Fitzgerald in the number 88. We saw him last year running on a part-time basis for Lightstar Racing Co., that being Andrew Ramsey's team. But Russell Blaze, when he entered Death Rider Racing into the Xfinity Series as well, he requested that Ajax Fitzgerald be in this ride, and lo and behold, here he is. Going to be running full-time in the Xfinity Series. So far, he finds himself now 25th with a 45.658. So not faring too well time-wise, but I would definitely say it's going to improve. It would improve here, but so far that's not the case. Closing in on 3 minutes to go. There's Kenny Stremme in the number 16. One of the Colleague Racing entries here for this 2026 season. Right now, Stremme is in 7th with a 45.280. So things are looking pretty well here for Kenny Stremme. We come back over here. Here's Stephen Walker in the number 66 leading this group that contains the number 28. Also for NS Racing, this is Will Parrish in his first year of WRLA competition. Erica Douglas, there's the number 54, who ran in the Cup Series last year for Cologne Motorsports before becoming a free agent. Now running full-time in the Xfinity Series for Walker Family Motorsports. This is Reagan Whitlock. And just behind her, we haven't seen her in WRLA competition since 2023, when she was co-owning a team with Janiyah Hill called 420 Blaze It. This is Haley Curris in the number 44 for Alpha Prime Racing. We saw her earlier in the year, or at least back in January, at the Kalamazoo Speedway. So by the time you're seeing this, she was either in the heats or LCQs, and or she might have made the main event. So, I mean, only time will tell, but I mean, by the time that you're seeing this, you would already know by the time you're seeing this. Right now, Curris finds herself 35th with a 45.714, closing in on 90 seconds to go here in this session. Look at this pack over here. They have not left each other at all here in this session. There's Sarah Taylor and Derek Hamill, Josiah Munsell, who's running full-time this year in the Xfinity side. Egan and Atikian and Kukulon, Jericho, and John Boyd, all just in this group right here. And there is a new sheriff in town, that being the number 18 of Campbell Marsh, who got some drafting help from the number 11. That is Igor Barreto in this pack. There's Eric Blaze, the son of Father Russell Blaze, who sits fourth on the board with a 45.187. We're going to be seeing Eric in the duels later on tonight. Also, the number 42 of Harunkan Koilu. A lot of these names, I do massively apologize for butchering them. It's just some of the names are really, really difficult to pronounce. So I do want to apologize in advance. But the number 42 of Harunkan. Also Nick Martin, Reagan DeFeo, who we saw in Truck Series qualifying not too long ago. Ryan Davis, the number 2, that being Alexander Rowe, who competed in full-time in the NOS Energy Cup Series last year for American Motorsports. Oh, we have a crash. And wait a minute, oh no, that's Josiah Munsell and Sebastian Kukulon, and that was from the pack that we saw a little bit ago, that had Atikian and Derek Hamill and several others. That also included Munsell and the number 25 of Sebastian Kukulon, but you could see Kukulon just limping his way all the way back. He has to limp his way all the way back around to pit road. Oh, all careful. Almost came down in front of Ryan Kendall. He's going to drive down into the grass and let the 00 go on by, but troubles for the number 25 and 48, as unfortunately we'll have to go to backup cars. Now, you don't really have to worry too much about sacrificing your starting position to go to the rear end of the field. I do believe times just got finalized here, so big congratulations. Wow, we were spending a lot of time just talking about the incident between the 45, the 48, and the 25, but big congratulations regardless to Campbell Marsh. He will be starting on the pole. A former NOS Energy Cup Series driver, now Xfinity full-time for Walker Family Motorsports, winning the pole, and he will be leading the field of the green flag alongside Igor Barreto. Row 2 will see Ryan Davis and Eric Blaze. Row 3, Ray Atikian and Sebastian Kukulon. Row 4 will be Kenny Stremme and Noah Kars. Bryce Egan and Thomas Jericho will complete your top 10. Kasumi Takashi, Josiah Munsell, they make up row 6 as Dana Mon, Derek Hamill, Nick Martin, Quentin Moore, Harunkan Koiluglu. And again, I do apologize for butchering the names. Carter Belair, Justin Ingleham, Reagan Whitlock, that's your top 20. Then Marcus Sachi in the number 14, Joshua Neely, Sarah Taylor, Stephen Walker, John Boyd, Jordan Sumner. We'll see her in the duels later. Bruno Giacomo as well. Celeste Elise. Jesus, I'm so sorry. Marion Judicia, Reagan DeFeo, Austin Kane, Sam Robinson, Haley Tolis. I did misspell Haley, by the way, so that will change a little bit later. Will Parrish, Ajax Fitzgerald, Ryan Kendall, Alexander Rowe, Erica Douglas, and in the caboose, Haley Curris and Steve Morgan. That was qualifying here for not just the Menards Truck Series, but now the Xfinity Series starting lineup is set. And we are ready to go for a WRLA competition in the lower levels. But coming up later today, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, you can catch it live on Twitch. The full race replays will be posted up the next day right here on the WRLA YouTube channel. It is going to be the duels from here at the Daytona International Speedway for the WRLA NOS Energy Cup Series to not only determine the starting lineup, but who is going to be racing their way in and who will be going home and not competing in this year's Daytona 500. Have yourselves a fantastic rest of your day, everybody. Take care. Take it easy. Congratulations to Campbell Marsh on winning the pole for the Drive4COPD 300. And we'll see you later tonight for WRLA NOS Energy Cup Series competition for the duels here at Daytona. As far as Xfinity Series, we'll see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on YouTube.